We'll admit people as they come in. So, hi everyone, I'm Helen French, Director of Development and Continuing Education at NASW, New Jersey. Thrilled that you could join us for this important conversation with Reeta Wolfsohn, who for many years has been talking about money. Very important conversation. She is the founder of Financial Social Work and an NASW Social Work Pioneer, which is quite an honor. And as Reeta said, she'd love to see your faces. So if you don't mind putting on your cameras, that'd be great. She's going to be asking some questions and asking you to put your answers in the chat. So this is your time. So please make use of it. Reeta has a lot of experience and loves questions. And with that, Reeta, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Helen. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And okay, okay, there we go. Okay, so I think that's pretty much enough of an introduction for me. I do want you to know that my colleague at the Center for Financial Social Work, Linda Benjamin, she is our relationship manager, and she's waving hi. I don't know if you can all see her. And she's here with us. And as we go through, when I ask questions, she'll be sharing your responses. And let's get started. So I want to welcome you today, and especially to point out that what we're going to be talking about today will and should be helpful personally as well as professionally. When I created all of this 26 years ago, I quickly recognized that we as social workers really, need this information as much as everyone else. And the certification that I'll mention later on is designed specifically to improve the financial health and wellness of our graduates, as well as to allow them to bring all of this forward to share with clients. So, okay. Now, when we first talked about having this training, and when this was last year, sure, lots of things were happening, just as they're still happening. We still have high inflation. We didn't have, I don't think more interest rates were rising the way they have been. But this is a unique moment in time. And I'm so excited to have this opportunity to share everything that I have planned for today because of that uniqueness. So I know that all of you know that last week, 2 weeks ago now, Silicon Valley Bank went under, and that was not a good thing. And for some of us who were around in 2008, it started bringing back memories of that financial crisis, which was quite terrible, actually. And for those of us who might have been around during the Great Depression, it's certainly, okay, I was not around during the Great Depression, but I know all about it. As a matter of fact, growing up in a home where parents experienced the Great Depression, I know that I have that mindset of just how alarming things can be around money and how unexpected they can be. So from the New York Post this week, they're indicating that nearly 200 banks are at risk. And I have talked to other social workers this week and other students and graduates of the Center of Financial Social Work, and they are wondering what to do with their money, where to put it, what's safe, what comes next. Just this morning, I read that some people think it's really not going to be that bad overall, but the reality is that no one knows. And it's alarming that more people in the financial industry hadn't recognized that this possibility was going to happen. And so I hope, that by the time we finish today, you'll realize the relevance, the importance of paying attention to your money personally and working with clients to do so. And remember, all of this is happening on top of high inflation, increasing interest rates, the ever-looming recession, which everybody says it is happening, it isn't happening, it's going to happen soon. We don't know. But what we do know, if we're working with clients and living in this world, if we go to the supermarket or put gas in the car, we know that everyone, well, maybe not to 1%, okay, but most people are experiencing greater financial problems, stress, and trauma. So what does money have to do with social work and social work clients? Well, this is just a very brief list. On the left, we have the many issues involved with money, the many different, and on the right, the many, again, certainly not totally inclusive, but the many different populations. And each one of those populations has its own unique needs that need addressed. So most presenting problems have a financial component. So why am I beginning with all of this? I know it's not the best news, but it's important because what you don't know can hurt you. And we do a monthly free webinar. We usually have guest speakers, but a few months ago, I did one on, okay, I can't remember the name of the webinar. All of our recorded webinars are on our website, but I was talking about how disconnected people are from their money and how that leads to, particularly, for us as social workers, burnout, disconnecting. He's sticking this, I love this graphic. He's sticking his head in the sand. He doesn't want to know about money. And honestly, that's what too many people do. And that's why we have so many financial problems and so much stress, anxiety, and depression over money. I'd like to start by sharing our financial social work affirmation because I believe that it captures, I really worked hard a few years ago to create it because I think it captures my work. So just for today, I will love myself enough to face my fears, practice self-acceptance, and embrace hope. Just for today, I will silence my inner critic, speak my truth, and make peace with myself and with my past. I will give myself permission to eliminate toxic people, beliefs, and behaviors from my life. And just for today, I will prepare for a better tomorrow by healing my relationship with my money and with myself. And you will learn shortly that at the heart, the real core of financial social work is about healing relationship with money and relationship with self. So we've been having fun at some of our trainings recently, sharing a picture and asking our audience to tell us what it makes you think of. So if you could share that in the chat box, Linda will share some of your responses. Now, this was her choice, this picture, and it should provoke some interesting thoughts for you. Linda, anybody putting anything in?
I'm sure someone has some idea. I'm sure this picture is, cash or credit stress. It reminds me of how stuck I feel at times. Thinking about debt. And to retire or not to retire. Anxiety about money. How can I pay off my bills? Interest, reflection of student loans, and should I do this or not? What am I doing wrong with my money? Stressing about student loans. Contemplating if I should spend my money on something I want or something I need. The thinker, what should I spend my money on today? Those are great.
They really are. Any others you wanted to share, Lynn?
Why do we even have money to begin with?
Whoa. Okay. Anybody?
What am I doing wrong with my money? Should I do this or should I not do this in regard to my credit card? And reflections of student loans and retirement. What can I do better concerning my credit? Oh, interesting that the way we think of money isn't connected to actual physical money anymore.
Isn't that true? Oh my God, I want to answer every single one of those. Go ahead, Lynn.
Okay. Should I dig this debt hole any deeper? Income not matching necessary output. Okay. Thank you all for those contributions. They're wonderful.
Yes, and I think that shows what a hands-on group we have. So when we go to the conversation part, we can have some great conversations. Social work and money, we need to talk about it. This I believe with all my heart. And we have social workers because we are the social workers and money. Let's talk about money. So social workers need to talk about money. Why? Because there's a physical, emotional, personal, professional, and financial cost to being a social worker. And that's true. Social work is described as assisting, solving, coping, advocating, and addressing mental, behavioral, and emotional health issues, all of which have a financial component personally and professionally. That's what I love about my work, because as social workers, there's so much we need to learn and know, including myself, about money. The perception that no one goes into social work to become wealthy has become a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is not a good thing, because this belief minimizes the impact of not earning enough to cover today's high cost of living, very high cost of living, student loan repayment for our degrees costing the same as other professions, the expenses of licensing and everything else involved in being a social worker. As social workers, we have a responsibility to prioritize our own financial health and wellness. And that is certainly an excellent way to address wellness, because as I started out explaining, so many pieces of our lives have that financial component. As social workers, knowing how to manage our own money allows us to maximize our own financial futures. And that in turn is definitely going to reduce burnout, because one of the things that I hear most often is how burnt out social workers are because they're not making enough money. So the healthier we are financially, the more prepared we are to be, better therapists, counselors, coaches, role models. Matt Schwartz is a very dear friend. He did our monthly free webinar this month, and it was excellent. If you'd like to see it, it is on our website. And he says, given the importance and impact of finances on clients, agencies, and communities, financial social work should be considered a key component of social work. So today I'm asking you to consider money from a different perspective. Today I'm asking you to examine your money thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, values, and experiences. So my work is heavily psychosocial. We need to have an understanding of the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that we bring to our money, because that's what drives our financial behavior. And our financial behavior is how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And I wanted to mention to anyone that may have talked about credit card debt, we have a 2-hour training. I believe it's April 4th, and we will talk much more. It will be about 95%, maybe 99% different than this training. And we will get more in depth on credit card debt and coping and dealing with it. And so, yes, I am asking you to rethink your relationship with money. We all have a relationship with money, even though we don't necessarily think about it. And that relationship is very different than the stress and anxiety and worry that we may wake up with when we have too much debt. I'm asking you today to recognize how money affects everyone physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, financially, socially. It just impacts our lives. And I think some of you already know that. I'm asking you to understand that unhealthy relationships, whether with food, substances, other people, or money, result from an unhealthy relationship with self. If we don't feel good about ourselves, or if we're feeling hopeless or helpless, not knowing what to do, we're going to disconnect from our money. And as we saw that gentleman sticking his head in the sand, that's not going to help at all. And I'm asking you to identify where money fits in your life, and certainly to understand it has an impact and it affects every stage and age of our lives. Because it costs money to wake up every day. And if someone is older, a woman, uninsured, a person of color, if someone has a criminal record, an illness or disability, a low credit score, bankruptcy or foreclosure, and that list could go on. But in those cases, that person's life is likely to be more difficult and more expensive. So why do social workers need to talk about money? Well, if we aren't providing the most holistic and comprehensive care, because it's such a part of everyone's life story. And because money is always the elephant in the room. It is always there, regardless of how hard we try to avoid it. And because if you look at these 12 grand challenges of social work, you will see financial capability for all. But if you look at each of the other blocks, you will see there is a cost to every single one. Healthy development for all youth, stopping family violence, eradicate social isolation. Many of those end homelessness. They all cost money to address them. And because so many presenting problems have a financial component. So, now, we need to talk about money, because although no one chooses to have money problems, we do know that most people have money problems. Stress, anxiety, trauma, but problems with money. The good news is that no one needs to know everything about money. No one can possibly know everything about money. I certainly don't know everything about money. But the important thing is that everyone does need to know certain things about money. So obviously what I need to know about money is going to be different than what you need to know about money, or what the person next to you on the screen needs to know about money. So it is very, to some degree, very specific, the different needs, as I showed way back at the beginning, of all the populations that have different money circumstances, and all of the reasons we need to know about money. So when we talk about money, let's put some answers this time into the chat box. When we talk about money, what are we really talking about? What do you think?
Needs, access, expenses, stability. Oh, come on. Access and options, fun, self-control, power, access to things and opportunities. Safety, happiness, security, enjoying life, supporting yourself. Oh, living life, supporting yourself and enjoying life. Joy and hobbies, a place to live, food to eat, etc. Freedom. Value of self. That's really interesting. Anyone else?
Well, when we get to the end of this presentation, which I should probably be moving through more quickly, but you'll see how much I agree with most of those things. But here's my interpretation. When we talk about money, we talk about power, because the people who have the money have the power. And that puts off a lot of people, and a lot of, certainly as social workers, a lot of people will talk about, well, we don't want power, we don't want to be wealthy. Financial social work has nothing to do specifically about being wealthy. It's about being healthy financially. And so our goal is always to empower our clients. So yes, some of the things when we talk about money, there's so many moving pieces: education, investing, trauma, career, universal income, entrepreneurship. The list is really quite endless. Social workers, we're expected, and we know, are trained to be agents of change, advocates for marginalized groups, committed to social and economic justice, and meant to provide clients with a holistic healing process. And helping clients improve their financial health is a social work imperative. And because of the stress and the anxiety, everything that keeps people feeling very concerned and often very overwhelmed financially. So social workers need to talk about money because people who die by suicide were 8 times more likely to have debt. And the burden of debt on mental and physical health is very alarming, because 1 in 5 adults doesn't have a bank account. And the cost, do any of you know the cost of being unbanked? I think some of these statistics we'll actually be looking at on April 4th, but does anybody know? You want to put it in the chat? What the interest rate on a payday loan is, or the fact that once you get trapped in a payday loan, you may never become untrapped? Well, it's hundreds and hundreds of percent of what you borrowed. And I don't have time to go through all of that, unfortunately. So medical debt is the most common kind of debt in collections and the most common cause of bankruptcy in the United States. That is an important statistic. But another piece that we all should know if we're working with clients who might potentially have to file bankruptcy, and again, we're not getting into credit scores today, but the credit reporting agencies are now separating medical debt from other debt, which is a wonderful and important, really, really important change. And 25% of Americans experience trauma symptoms from financial stress. And that's from Psychology Today. And we believe that that there is no longer a debtor's prison, but if you're poor in America, there is a debtor's prison because our system perpetuates systematically taking advantage minorities and people of color, and send poor people to prison over their inability to pay fines, court costs, and related expenses. So financial stress, the difficulty in meeting your current expenses or worrying about current and future finances, is higher than ever. And it is experienced through that lens of relationship with money and relationship with self. And I really wanted to spend this time on fintech, but I can see it's getting late. If you would put in, have you ever used fintech? Just a quick yes, no, maybe in the chat box.
No, 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 nope.
Okay.
Paula has. One person, Paula has, yes. Okay.
Well, the reason I used that was because 3 out of 4 people worldwide have used a fintech service, and we just don't know it. And we just don't have the time to spend on too many slides on fintech. But we need to know that it is the way of the world. I'm not currently myself a huge fan of AI, artificial intelligence, but it is the way of the world, and we need to know about it. And we do use so many things. If you use a credit card, if you use a Venmo, a PayPal, if you bank online, we are using fintech. And that refers to the technology and innovation that aims to compete with financial services to create new and better services for consumers. So that's what fintech is. So at least we've kind of clarified that part. If you've ever split a bill in a restaurant or paid someone's, I'm plucking the word, people put up those requests for help with paying for hospital bills.
Go fund me.
GoFundMe, right, definitely. Thanks, Lynn. Okay, so closed banking, which people of my generation were familiar with, was the bank was the one in control. But fintech is about us, consumers, being more in control. So there are dangers in fintech. Actually, there are dangers in everything financial these days. There are so many scams. There are so many people looking for ways to take advantage of us. So it's really important to limit the amount of personal data you share, to check the provider's security. Be careful. Don't share passwords, and please shred anything with identifying information. So this leads us to the question, why financial social work? It is the intersection of social work, politics, the economy, gender, economic, and social justice, and all in equity. So we've kind of touched on some of these things already. So it is a behavioral model because until and unless behavior changes, nothing changes. I already pointed out that it's heavily psychosocial because that's what drives financial behavior. And financial behavior is how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. It is all of these things: interactive, reflective, supportive. It is holistic, multidisciplinary, hopeful, helpful. It is many things to many people. And most of all, it is heart-centered. It approaches money and life from a perspective of healing, acceptance, courage, and honesty. And as I've mentioned before, the core of my work is relationship with money and relationship with self, healing both of those. True, in my opinion, such very true social work. Again, relationship with money and self. And that's because before anyone experiencing financial trauma, stress, problems, they can't cope with the dollar, cents, budgets, and crises unless they heal that relationship. They're too overwhelmed. They need help healing. We must factor in financial trauma. I'm not going to go through this list. We must factor in financial behavioral health, which is a term that I created. But if you stop and think about it, and about everything we're looking at in this presentation, it is very, very real. So I gave the definition of financial behavioral health to be identifying, addressing, and reducing the problems, stress, anxiety, shame, and other harmful feelings that result when money, physical, mental, and emotional health negatively converge. And that's because it impacts us mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, socially. So I'm going to wind down here with just some financial healing tips. It is about knowing there's always hope, forgiving yourself for past financial choices, not staying stuck there because then you're not going to be open to change, accepting you deserve better. And we all deserve better than being overwhelmed and depressed about that. Recognizing we're the only ones that can heal ourselves, addressing our own financial trauma, and taking ownership of our own financial future, setting personal and financial boundaries. Again, you know, traditional social work. We call it a personal spending and savings plan because no one likes the B word for budgeting, but everyone should have a budget. Giving yourself permission to nurture financial health, knowing that taking control of your money gives you control of your life. Taking financial self-care seriously and never confusing your self-worth with your net worth. So a few final thoughts. I share these because they're so important. We already talked about the fact that no one chooses to have money problems, but most people do. And we don't need to know everything about money, just certain things about money. We've talked about the relationship with money and self, and that relationship with self takes time, honesty, less self-criticism, and more self-love. And that psychosocial piece of healing your relationship with your money. We talked a little bit about what are we talking about when we talk about money. Some of you said safety, security, survival, power. And we talked about that. So we never want to stop making peace and making friends with our money. It's too easy to blame money for all of our problems, but we need to make money our friends if we want to stop raising generation after generation of financially illiterate men and women, which is the circumstance, that is the situation in this country, sadly. We need to teach children about money, and we need to do everything we can to help people understand that death doesn't have to be a death sentence. And this is becoming more of a factor these days. So starting the conversation about money, just the beginning. We have a personal, professional, and ethical responsibility to ourselves and our clients to address the financial component of mental, behavioral, and emotional health issues. And we need to invite financial social work into our lives, classrooms, our workplaces, practices, client work, and casework. And we at Center for Financial Social Work, at the end of last year, created a financial health and wellness professional community. It's a great opportunity to interact, learn, network, connect, expand client resources, and support each other across diverse client populations. Helen, I can, if you want, share this code with you if any of your members want to join. We have the financial social work certification. Our students have 6 months to complete. It is self-study and self-paced. We currently are offering pay what you can because we know how difficult it is. Right now, it has cost $695 for several years, but we're offering it as low as $395. We also have a partner program where you can generate revenue for yourself and offer colleagues a discount. We have our free monthly webinar. You can register on our website. And if you can't attend, we send you the recording the next day. And that would be it. I am ready to stop sharing and start conversation. Who's going to go first?
So thanks ever so much, Rita. Please put up your virtual hand if you have any questions. I'm going to start. Very interesting presentation. Thank you so much, Linda and Rita. Are there any tangibles that our attendees can take away from today? Now, like, I know you don't like using the word budget, but are there any templates or the first 3 steps that people should do after this webinar?
Well, yes, everyone does need a spending plan, but what you really need, what I encourage everyone to have, is an estate plan. I know it's so many people feel they don't have an estate. They don't have a home, they don't have jewelry, they don't have those things. But an estate plan is your will, it's your power of attorney. And if you work with clients, low-income clients, they need to prepare. Accidents happen. They do happen. And or clients that have been divorced. If you don't have a plan, then those children could end up with someone you don't want them to end up with. I would encourage everyone, Helen. We do this amazing free webinar every month. Next month, we have Dr. Hardy. What's it on, Lynn? What's her title?
The intersection of race-based trauma and financial literacy.
She did one in August, and we had over 1,000 people register. We've had as many as 12,000 people register for our webinars, which no platform can handle. So that was a bit stressful. But there are so many things. We have free ebooks on the website. We have all those recordings. We have essays from financial social work graduates. You can get a lot of information for free on our website. So
Linda, would you like to put the website in the chat?
Of course.
But we could go on and on. Remember, okay, it's behavior, behavior, behavior. The budget is not even the personal spending and savings account. The first step we have to do is engage the client. We have to engage the client, or else we have nothing. We could have the greatest, program in the world, but when we have clients who are part of the system, they've already been told they need a budget. We need to first help them understand the advantages, the value in planning where your money goes instead of wondering where it went. I can keep going here, but do any of you have a specific question that you would like to share? Because I'd be happy to do my best to answer it. Great. Hi, Paula.
Yes, Paula.
Hi, I've been in private practice for 1.5 years. And the push-pull for me is when some of my clients have financial difficulties that impact their ability to pay the fee. And as a social worker, I feel uncomfortable being the bill collector. I feel comfortable in the role working with clients who have impulse control problems. And I had hoped that I had set up my practice to not really have the conversation around money as it regards a professional fee, but it always seemed, not always, but more often than I had anticipated, it the client's inability to follow up on a contracted arrangement becomes part of the therapy. Do you have any recommendations how to manage that with clients? I feel uncomfortable being the bill collector and the therapist, and I'm pretty lenient about giving, like, especially clients that are in between jobs, leeway until their new insurance kicks in. But what's the rule of thumb? What's your advice on how to manage that as the clinician?
First, I'm going to put it out to the group. Is anybody else dealing with that? Nobody wants to respond. Okay. You're a social worker. Actually, I'm a social worker. I try, I don't believe in promoting myself, but I can't talk about financial social work without me being part of that. I would wonder if, as social workers, we're reluctant. It's not necessarily part of our training, but it is part of the person that we are that took us to social work, because we weren't looking for a career that would make us wealthy. On the other hand, you have to respect your time and your education. So have you considered, so do you have your fees in some kind of a letter that goes out to potentially new clients, or do you have them on your website? I think what I'm hearing is the desire to separate yourself as the clinician from the collector.
Mhm.
So do you have those things on a website or in an introduction?
Absolutely. It is very, very clear what the parameters are of my practice, what someone's insurance covers, what their copay is. And there are times when clients have difficulty with copay, or just some clients have difficulty with executive functioning, which includes financial management of their lives, and how much you're in the role of helping them develop that, but then you are also in the position of getting the consequence of their problem.
There's no one answer or one simple answer, but I do know practitioners who require payment before the session.
Mhm.
And none of us is going to want to abandon a client who has lost a job, but perhaps you might lower your fee. It is, when I
Well, I
talk
have
about,
done that. I've taken like a client's copay when they were waiting for insurance for a new job, and I've taken the copay amount rather than the fee. But then there are clients who just have problems with impulse and spending, and they've maxed out their credit card, and then they can't, you know, especially it's a problem in private practice. And by the way, you don't get wealthy in private practice. That especially in the first 3 months of the year, when people are meeting their deductible, if they have insurance, their initial outlay in January, February, and March can be rather challenging.
well, it is about how you feel you will work best, because you are taking on that problem. And by doing that, you're relieving the client of it, of the problem in some way, shape, or form. And how does that fit in with the specific work that you are doing with the client? Are you, blurring boundaries? This is not a simple question.
No,
And I don't have a magic wand.
and you don't want to be an enabler for a client either.
I know.
You don't want to be an enabler and make it easy for someone to skip out on payment.
And that's about respecting yourself. So,
right.
But you need the revenue to keep the practice going. And you really have to, resolve that in your own mind, how you're going to address it, and possibly discuss it. Either have a few sentences on the website, or in your initial, if you send them something initially, to clarify those boundaries.
Right. I've been taking it on a case-by-case basis. It hasn't been an overwhelming problem, but the longer I'm in practice, the more financial issues that clients have are, You never want your clients' problems to become your problems. You know, it's like boundaries, as you said.
Someone did write, I think, in the chat box that I saw it come across pretty quickly, but that when you're in practice longer, you'll be able to manage that better.
Setting
But
boundaries.
you have to stay in practice. So you need to determine how to do that best.
Thank you.
Understand. Sorry.
Thanks
I
for
didn't
your
have
thoughtful.
Who else? This is
So
the
Rita,
conversation part.
Yeah, Rita, an interesting question came in on the chat. How do you suggest talking to our employers about the need to increase social work salaries to keep up with the rising costs of living, inflation, etc.? Love that question.
Actually, when this is a little off topic, but something that really excited me, everybody, was when I was inducted as a pioneer in DC last year. I learned that of the movement, and some of you probably know this, towards having paid internships. I thought that was very exciting. Again, we come back though to the issue of salary and social work and respecting the profession. We can each, you know, try to negotiate independently, you know, with an agency or organization, or all join together. But in these really unpredictable times, people are worried that if they speak up, they could lose their job, and that there's many other people to replace them. Again, I think it's important to know what is best for you. It isn't, there is no general theme to this. There is no simple answer. Well, I mean, we're talking about something that has existed for decades, that, you know, not-for-profits are known not to pay as well. If you're working in one, then you're making a statement that that's okay. But is there any reason to believe that moving to a different one will increase your salary? There's so many factors, and I started out by saying that, and it's coming across very clear now, where we have to learn. I mean, I believe it was in either in Michigan. I know Michigan is overseeing that kind of movement for paid internships. That's existed, you all know that, since the beginning of social work, free internships. And it's a problem because we are losing professionals to, we're losing, instead of becoming social workers, students are moving towards public health and other industries, so to speak, where the pay is significantly higher. So again, I love that you want me to think that I could solve all of these things, but advocate. Maybe on the 4th, I think I may talk about using social work on the micro, meso, and macro level, and that is advocacy, and we're trained in advocacy. So that's what that's about. Anything else? We still have time. Did you come for the conversation? I'm happy if you came for the presentation. I hope you got a lot out of it. Oh, actually, we don't have that much time. Where did the time go? Anybody? Does anybody have one that is really easy for me to fix? I can tell you, do this and life will be better. I can't tell you to have a personal spending and savings plan. life will be better when you tell your money what you want it to do, instead of wondering where it went. Anybody? Listen, you can reach me at Reeta, REETA, at financialsocialwork.com. You can chat me there. You can call us at 1-800-707-1002. You can definitely come back on April 4th. I think it's from 6 to 8. And we will be delving more deeply into spending and credit cards and all kinds of pieces of financial behavior. Last chance, everybody.
Excellent. Right. So Rita's email address is in the chat. Linda, do you want to put that 1-800 number that Rita mentioned in the chat? I didn't catch it. So Rita's email address is in the chat. I put the link to the April 4th CE program in the chat, and we're offering a very special price for that one too, because we're going to be talking about money, so let's make it accessible. So thank you very much, Rita and Linda. Really appreciate your time. Rita will be sending me some information either today or tomorrow, and I can share that with attendees. So go out there, make your will, get your budgeting going, and it will help us with the revolution.
We
Thanks,
have the
everyone.
training, the education, that we can do this. We need to do this. Thanks, everybody. I had a really great time.
Reeta, what's your 800 number before everybody?
800-707-1002. You can also schedule a call from the website, and we will call you and answer your questions.
Brilliant.
We're there for you. Thanks, everybody. Helen, thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you.